Hello everyone and welcome to Mountain Lake Journal. I'm Tom Howard. This week the city of Plattsburgh is asking residents to weigh in on what they'd like the city to look like in the future. Plattsburgh is updating its comprehensive plan, taking a fresh look at its neighborhoods and potential community development. Residents are being invited to be part of it by attending 5 virtual public workshops next week. The last time this happened was more than 20 years ago, after the closure of the Air Force Base. The city has signed on with a consultant to look at revitalizing the waterfront and city beach. You can request an online questionnaire in advance and send it in, or join in one of the 5 virtual workshops being held this coming Monday and Tuesday, the 1st and 2nd of March. Those sessions will be divvied up with a session for each of the city's 6 wards. And Plattsburgh Mayor Chris Rosenquist joins us now in our studio, socially distanced.
Yep.
Welcome, it's good to see you.
Hey, Tom.
You and the City Council are holding the virtual listening sessions next week with residents to talk about this comprehensive plan, the city's comprehensive plan. You're going to hold meetings via Zoom, and you're going to do it with people living in all 6 wards of the city.
Correct.
What kind of input are you looking to get?
The comprehensive master plan is really going to set the tone for the next 10, 15 years of development in the city and how we grow and how we develop as a municipality. The feedback and how we're planning for the feedback is neighborhood or ward specific, right? Because every single ward has their own challenges. Every single ward has their own kind of look and feel. Ward 1 is much different than Ward 5. So the idea is getting those neighborhoods or those areas and getting feedback from those areas and people who live there to help us shape what that plan is going to look like. The ultimate goal for the city and the ultimate goal that we have is to develop more of that tight-knit neighborhood feel where people can work, play, dine, and socialize within a pretty easy walking or biking distance. That's generally where community development and planning is leaning towards. And a lot of that is going to be based on what people want in their neighborhood, what they can see the need is. But the comprehensive master plan is just that, it's comprehensive. So we're talking about development throughout the city. We're talking about revisions to zoning and planning, recreation opportunities, quality of life opportunities. But it really is the opportunity for us as a community to shape what our community will look like and what the city will look like in the next 15 years.
You and city councilors, what are you planning to do with the input you get from people?
It really is. This is a 1 year. It's going to be about a 1 year process. So it's the taking that feedback, incorporating it into how to implement those opportunities, implement that plan, and then pitch it back out to the community for public feedback.
And do you come in this with the vision of your own? Do you have visions for City Beach and the Crate and for the waterfront?
When we talk about development in City Plattsburgh and the resources that we have, when we say, oh, what about the waterfront? What are we going to do in the waterfront?
Right.
Everybody automatically thinks City Beach, right? And which is good, but also I'm trying to expand that conversation for waterfront to include Wilcox, Sailors Beach, Dock Street Marina, and the old base marina, right? So we have a wealth of waterfront. For the beach, though, it's time to start chipping away at the investment that we need to make at the beach. So one, we plan on having the beach open this summer. We plan on revitalizing and rebuilding the dog park out there. We're going to rebuild the boardwalk. We're going to rebuild the bathhouse on the west side of the beach. We're not sure what we're going to do with the other bathhouse yet. We're kind of mulling around a couple of ideas, and we'll do some general maintenance to spruce up the place. But I think that's going to set the tone for a lot of other development that we can do out there. We do have a binder about that thick of, again, more plans that we can then start to implement, but we're excited about the opportunity to open our beach this summer.
Tougher decisions, though, when it comes to the Crate and maybe the city rec?
Yeah.
The gymnasium?
I'll tell you that, we need to, as a community, we need to have a conversation about the future of the Crate Center. Right now, financially, it would be less of a financial burden on the taxpayer to tear it down than it would be to rebuild it and to repurpose it for something. There are certain other development opportunities that we need to consider at the beach as well, in that area of the beach at the Crate Center. But barring any immediate need for a decision, we'll continue to look at what's the best use of the facility and what's the future going to look like in the next 3 or 4 years of that facility as well. The rec center is a little different. I think at this point, we certainly need to have a conversation about either selling it or repurposing it or figuring out how do we leverage that asset as a municipality and how do we move forward with it.
There had been talk that the Y might be interested in leasing it and developing it along with the wellness center on the new base. Anything progressing there?
No, not overall, because COVID. It's like, why hasn't this happened? Because COVID. But yeah, COVID has thrown a wrench in the rental of that facility because it's aged. It's older. It doesn't have the air filter process that's needed to run the facility at 100% capacity. But we're still in conversation with the YMCA. We're certainly not giving up on any of their future plans for the region. It certainly is a partnership that we want to maintain and keep and plan together as well. We need recreation in the community. That's a quality of life piece for us. We need programs for youth and seniors, quality of life piece for us. And I think partnering with the Y, with their ability to do the great work that they're doing in community and the facilities that we have, it's a really good partnership to do that.
Are you expecting to hear from a lot of people on the downtown, on the Durkee Street project? Is that sort of in a holding pattern? The planning board, the zoning board signed off on it, waiting to hear whether the county IDA
Correct.
Is going to authorize a pilot agreement,
Correct.
a payment in lieu of taxes.
Right. I don't disagree with the use of a pilot for this project. I don't agree with how much of a discount they are getting on their taxes based on the job creation component. But yeah, you're right. At this point, the project has passed out of the city's independent boards, the Planning and Zoning Board. It is now in the hands of the IDA to come to some determination on a pilot application, and then from there, the city does have some development agreements with the developer that will, one, ensure that the project happens, that it's funded, that it's completed, and then at that point, it's we want to make sure that the project actually gets built.
And this is the last piece of the DRI puzzle. Other pieces have been getting funding and have been progressing and moving ahead.
I mean, like there's, when we said in the beginning, it was a $10 million DRI award. $4 million went to this project, a little bit more than $4 million, but there are $6 million that went to other projects. Downtown grant programs, facade improvements, marketing, the redevelopment of the farmers market.
And work moving ahead right now on the Strand.
So the Strand had 2 DRI awards. One was for the Art Center and creating a makerspace and innovation center, and the other one was doing some more additional renovation in the Strand Theater.
And you talk about the farmers market. Are people getting used to the idea of that being moved down to the waterfront now?
I don't think everybody has the sense that, I don't think everybody agrees with where it's being located, but at the end of the day, the organizers of the farmers market supports it. But at the end of the day also, the future of Harborside in the next 5-7 years will not look like it looks now. It will be completely transformed. We're talking with a hotel developer, which is part of that whole best use study, and something we've talked about since the 90s of putting a hotel down there, which is why we built the parking lot there.
Was built, right.
And so we're talking with a hotel developer, somebody who replied to an RFP last year. We're talking about enhancing the waterfront, continued enhancement of the marina, walking areas, play areas, dog parks, green space, and most importantly in my mind is the renovation of the water sewer treatment plant, which will include a complete facade improvement and smell and sound remediation of that facility. So, I would say in the next 7 years, when we look back at what it looks like now to what it's going to look like, it'll be transformational for our community.
The Public Safety Citizens Review Panel was appointed last year after the death of George Floyd. The governor ordered communities across the state to work in unison with their police departments and the public to reform, reinvent, and modernize policing. The panel has put out its final report. What are some of the things it's recommending?
There are a number of things. A lot of them are policy-based, bias training, community-driven policing, recruiting opportunities, and then there's some recommendations for staffing and other like more structural things like body cams and things like that. Executive Order 203 says that the municipality at this point, it's now up to us to create a panel of people to review the recommendations, create a plan, put out public comment, put the plan out for public comment that gets developed from the recommendations, put that plan out for public comment, and then be ratified and adopted by the legislative body in the city. We have a month to do that work. That is a little concerning for me because that's a lot of work to be done within the month.
And since we're talking about the police department, what can you tell us about Chief Levi Ritter? He's been off the job for 2 months since mid-December. Is he on paid administrative leave, and can you tell us if he is, why?
Yeah, unfortunately I can't. It's an internal employee matter, and we try to keep those kind of like settled internally. It's also quite private, so I'm not going to comment on that.
Can you say whether you believe he's going to be returning to his job?
I'm not going to comment on that. Sorry, Tom.